Hello, everyone. Welcome to our presentation. Today, our title is Let's Play Total Engagement for In-Person and Remote Learners. So we are going to introduce ourselves first. My name is Kelly Zerby. I'm at Tall Kelly on the Twitter. Yes, that's what I look like most times. I have been an elementary school teacher for 22 years in Dekalb, Illinois, right by NIU. I'm the district PE coordinator. I do a lot for our state organization, IAFERD. I'm the vice president of children, Northern District president, and I love presenting with my friends who I'll let introduce themselves now. Here's Cindie.
All right. Hey guys, my name is Cindie Cortinas-Vogt. I am very happy to be here and presenting with my friends. I have been teaching for a very long time myself, and I'm currently teaching in the U46 district in Elgin, Illinois, which is the second largest district in our state. So I am an avid Cubs fan, just as our next friend Bo will be talking about, and I'm certainly missing being able to go catch some ball games and just watching sports live in general. So I will send it over to Bo, who's going to talk a little bit about himself.
All right, thank you. My name is Bo Phillips. I have been teaching 18 years at the elementary level in Elk Grove Village, Illinois, suburb just west of O'Hare Airport. I am currently the past VP of Children for IAFERD, second time. Love presenting nationally with my fun friends here from the Fab Four, Kelly and Cindie. I love to play golf and I love to dance. Just a little bit about me. So back to Kelly.
We are dancing fools. Well, here's a list of what we are going to try to accomplish today. We each have a couple of games to talk you through, show you some pictures, some videos, and some things, keeping in mind that these could be either in-person games or games for remote learners at home. You just kind of got to wrap your head around which way you want to go with it. So I'm going to explain my first game to you now, and it is called Math Derby. The Zerby Derby, as I wish it would be called. So Math Derby is a fun little game for partners to do. You don't need a lot of setup. You need an oval racetrack. If you look at the picture at the bottom, we got the oval cones going around. Put a hula hoop in the middle with a whiteboard and a marker, and you have a partner, and you share a hoop. So there's me and Bo standing by the green hoop. How delightful. On the ends of the circles, we have buckets, and the buckets are filled with the cards. Now, the card examples are up there at the top. I was doing multiplication because it's a school goal at my school. So the cards have multiplication problems on one side and a different way to travel on the other side. So this could be a warm-up activity. You could do this for 30 minutes. It's however you want to use the time, but it helps with movement and multiplication, or you can make cards with other kinds of skills like addition and subtraction. So Bo and I are partners. Bo and I go to the bucket together. We're going to take turns doing all these activities. So I'm going to choose the card out of the bucket first, and we see that it says gallop. So Bo and I gallop together all the way around the oval track to where we started, and then we go into the center and we find our hula hoop, the green hoop. And now Bo is responsible for writing out the multiplication problem on the whiteboard. He's going to write 7 times 8, and then he's going to write down what he thinks the answer is, and we're going to collaborate together if he's having problems, and we go from there. Now the teacher's going to meander around the middle, check math, kind of see how everybody's doing. But after Bo and I are done doing 7 times 8, we're going to leave that multiplication card in the hula hoop, and then we're going to go to the bucket. And now Bo gets to pick the card out of the bucket, and maybe it says walk. And then he and I walk our lap. We go to the middle, and then I do the multiplication. And we keep going until time runs out, or kids do 6 problems, or however you want to set up the activity for completion. My students have grown to really love this activity. They come in now, they see the setup, and they know how to play it after teaching it to them once or twice. And again, you can change it to be subtraction or addition, whatever skill you need to work on with the age level that you're teaching. So I call that one Math Derby. Here's Cindie.
right, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Ship Ahoy. And the reason why is that this is a game that's been around for a very long time. And we probably all know and are familiar with this game, but we all probably have different words for this game, or different, we probably call it a different name. I can't even remember what others have called this, but this is the way I learned it. It was called Ship Ahoy. So it's basically a following directions type of activity. And you are using your entire gym, and you are having them cross the ocean. One end of the gym is the ship, the other end of the gym is the shore. So for me, in my situation, I have been remote since spring when COVID first hit, and I have not been able to teach my students in person. So I started to kind of brainstorm ideas on games that maybe would work in a remote or distance learning situation. And so when I put this together at the beginning of the school year, it was with having it in mind that we could still do this in person, but here is a distance learning version. So with this, you have different commands that you're calling out to your students. And you'll see on the screen that these are the ones that I learned. I'm sure there's probably more. You would say, walk the plank, and you would provide some sort of movement for them. Ship Ahoy is a simple salute. At ease is dropping your salute. Swab the deck. I've included some squats, and you can see all the different GIFs that I've included. You can change that. That's just things that I try to use that might work with students learning from home. In the real world, when they're in person, when you're giving this command, they're either trying to cross from one end or the other, or they're doing this movement somewhere in the middle of the ocean. So the idea is to, one, get them some movement, get some cardiovascular stuff going on, and two, see if they are good at listening and listening to the details and then following through with the directions. So you give them a command, you try to trick them a little bit, maybe make it sound like it's similar, and then see who's really listening. So you can act it all out. Bo and I were just talking about this in a gathering that we were all together, where we were really playing the role of the commander, the chief, the pirate, whatever you want to call yourself, captain. And so the students really buy into it. So this is a version where I'm showing you different GIFs that I've attached, because we can't do the same type of movements when they're playing from home. And in the next screen, Bo is going to show you for those learners at home, what I did is I created a shuffler. And the shuffler will include the commands. So we've practiced this together on the screen. I would call out a command, and then we would do those motions together. And I probably went through it a couple times so that they would try to remember and memorize what those movements were. And then I would do the shuffler, and the shuffler tells them what the command is. So then I have the movements for the commands, but I don't have the names attached to the movement. So they have to try and remember what the movement was. After I hit the shuffler, we can play the music, and the students will do that movement during the time that the timer is playing, or if you have music playing. So if you want a timer that counts down for 30 seconds, you can do that. I think I found some type of pirate sort of themed music, and so that's what I used. I also created a academic version where it's a math problem. So instead of saying swab the deck, it might have a multiplication or an addition problem on there, and then they would have to solve the problem and do it for that many seconds. So this is Ship Ahoy, and I like it because you can do it in person and you can also do it remote. And with that, Bo is going to talk about his first game.
Okay, your version of Ship Ahoy is so much better than mine. That's awesome. So this is a game that I've created, I don't know how long ago, a few years ago. And it's morphed, it's been modified, it's been adjusted over the years. And with all the Jurassic Park movies that have come out since the original one, it's definitely changed, as have the movies. So what we have here is a tagging game where the students will be one of 4 dinosaurs in this movie. In this game, sorry. If you are the T-Rex over here, that student is carrying around a green gator ball, and they are going to be tagging you with that green ball. If a student is tagged by any of those 3 dinosaurs that are holding a gator ball, they're going to do a choice of 2 exercises. They can hold a boat pose, or they can do Russian twists. So while they're in that position, they are exercising, waiting to be saved. This dinosaur over here, our Triceratops, is the rescue dinosaur. It's the friendly dinosaur. So those students will be on scooters and they will be scooting around very slowly like a Triceratops moves, but they will be able to rescue and save you to get you back in the game. So if you are on the ground and let's say you're holding that boat pose and you're waving for that Triceratops to come save you, it could be a while, but you are really working on your core in that time. So if the Triceratops tags you either with their free hand or if you have a pool noodle, you are back in the game. Now, these other two dinosaurs, the Dilophosaurus is the one here in the purple. If you remember from Jurassic Park with our friend Newman from Seinfeld, he had poison sprayed all over him. So this is the only dinosaur that gets to actually toss their ball. I have restrictions on that. I usually do an underhand. You could work on chest passes. You could work on bounce passes. You could also make them only pivot when they possess the ball. So you can incorporate some other skills. Once they've released the ball, then they can run after it. But once they pick it up, they are restricted to that movement of just pivoting. Over here, probably the most famous dinosaur from the Jurassic Park movies, in my opinion, is the the Velociraptor. And they hunt together. They're very smart. They work in packs. So this student is going to have two. They have to tag someone using them at the same time. So if you get tagged with one, you can keep running. So that student is really working on that hand-eye coordination of using a double tag at the same time. Students really love this game, really high cardio, lots of movement. Whether you are a dinosaur or not, you are in this game, you are constantly moving, you're getting your heart rate up. I usually do a lot of this measurement of our pulse on our heart rates, and we kind of track what dinosaur were you when you had your highest heart rate, and how did your heart rate change when you were a Triceratops? And then we talk about if you were a Triceratops, your heart rate should still be up if you were moving around and saving and rescuing the other students. So my kids really like this game. It has, like I said, changed over the years a little bit, but they really like it. And of course, I like to play the Jurassic Park music and soundtrack during the game. So kids enjoy that, and I hope you do too. I will hand it back to Kelly now.
Why, hello again. I'm happy to be back. This is 2x2 Fitness. I have several versions of 2x2. As you can see there on the left, different versions, but the main idea of 2x2 Fitness is it's a collaborative activity between two students and then their partners for a short time. They sign each other's sheet and then they cannot be partners again. So you have to find a number of different partners to complete this worksheet. This can be done as like a warm-up for the first 10 minutes of class. I usually do them for the full 30 minutes in my PE classes. I also like to leave these for guest teachers when I'm not there because my students know how to do them. They see them and they get the process. So this is the process. Every student needs one sheet of paper and a writing implement. If you laminate them, then people can really easily, just kind of write with a dry erase marker. This is the picture here is my primary version. So there's not really, I put all the pictures in, but on the 2x2, 3 through 5 sheet, it's just words. So you have a spot to sign each other's sheet. So on these versions, the first thing you have to do is decide which exercise you want to start with. And then you have to go ask somebody to be your partner. And I would go up to Cindie and I would say, Cindie, would you please be my partner? And she would, of course, say yes, because in my gym, we're not going to say no. And I'd say, can we do 10 jump ropes? And so we'd put our sheet down, we put our pencil down, we both do 10 jump ropes. And then when we were done, we would sign each other's sheets. And then she can't be my partner again, even though she's my bestest friend in the whole world. I have to go with Bo, who might not be my bestest friend in the whole world. And we have to keep going. And there are 16 different activities on that sheet. So you have to find 16 different partners, as are the other sheets that are available. So this is fitness K2. There's a fitness 3-5. There's fitness with equipment, which is agility ladders and medicine balls and hand weights. There's a 2x2 throw and catch where I went into my equipment room and took out every single possible thing you could possibly throw and catch with another human. I don't recommend that for current times, but that's a fun one to try. 2x2 basketball skills, 2x2 dance. So I was processing just recently if I could do this with my students in person. And I think you can. It's just a matter of not exchanging sheets of paper and signing each other's sheets. I would just write down that I did the jump ropes with Cindie and I did the mountain climbers with Bo. So instead of exchanging sheets to sign, I would just do that and we would stay our distance apart. There isn't anything that involves partner work or anything like that. So all of these versions will be linked into the PowerPoint when you get that, and you can see them all for your own use. And they're really fun and easy to make with the equipment you have too. And here's Cindie again.
So let's be honest, we're all best friends. That 2x2 fitness is wonderful. I've used that with my students when we're doing a fitness unit. I've also used it as an instant activity. I love it at the beginning of the school year because it gives them a chance to get to know one another and it forces them to be partners with someone that they might not necessarily know that well, just like Kelly had said. I think there's even, and I can't remember if you said this or not, but you can include math problems in there. So that's the number of times that they're doing or repetitions that they're doing their
yeah, I do have a version with multiplication.
Yeah.
So
I think I remember seeing that, and I know I've done it that way when we're working with doing math facts in our school. So it's also a school goal for us as well. So leading into that, I'm going to talk to you about a couple different academic integrated lessons that I have created. And the first one is part of a series called Math and Move. So this one in particular is called Multiplication and Move. So multiply and move. And what we're doing is we're working on math facts, specifically multiplication up to 9. So this was designed for my third graders last year when the teacher said, hey, this is something that is a goal of ours. It's a school goal. Our students really are lacking the facts that they need to really have memorized. So we've done a lot of different activities with them. But for distance learning, again, I have not seen my students in person since all of this happened in the spring. I created this where it allows them to still practice their math facts and get some movement in. So the way this works is Bo's going to show you. He's going to click on that shuffler in the top left-hand corner. And what that does is it generates some flashcards. You click pause, and then I've inserted a Jeopardy timer. And this allows them, we use whiteboard. So I was just using one today and they're going to write their problem out on the whiteboard, full problem with the answer. But I tell them I don't want them to share the answer with me. They have the 30 seconds to write out the problem, think about it, and then solve it. And then when I see that most of them are done and the 30-second timer is up, we go on and we play music. Now you can use another timer, but I like playing music. I think when they're working out, they like the music. Who doesn't like to be motivated by music? I mean, I, for one, have to have music. So we play the music, and what they do, they're still not revealing their answer to me. And the music starts, and then they need to look on the table and they have to find the Mrs. C that represents the right answer. So if I said, what is, let's do an easy one, right? 6 times 2. So they're writing out their problem, 6 times 2 equals, and then they've got their answer written out and they're looking at the table. And they're trying to find where 6 times 2 is. Well, we all know 6 times 2 is 12. They're looking for that answer on the table and they see me doing some straddle jumps. So it's a great way for the teacher and I to check for understanding by the movement that they've chosen to do. I don't say anything whether it's right or wrong. I'm just observing because at this point, this is the movement piece and I want them to be moving, whether they have the correct answer or not. So when the timer's up, we stop. And I say, all right, you guys, it looks like everyone did a great job. Let's go ahead and show our whiteboards. Everyone shows their whiteboard with the problem fully written out and the answer. And then we go over that. You're right. Everyone got it right. 6 times 2 is 12. You guys are geniuses. Everyone was doing a straddle jump. We're going to move on to the next one. So it's a great way. We make them write it out and with the question and the answer, and then they're having the movement attached to it. And what I like about this is this has, like Bo was saying, has morphed and evolved so many times so that they don't get sick and tired of the same questions and the same movements. Every couple of weeks, I change out the GIF. So this last one, this was one that was done this week. I included a couple tossing challenges. So they knew ahead of time that they needed to have some sort of ball. They needed their whiteboards and markers, And that way they don't get bored with just doing fitness activities. And certainly if you are doing this in person, the reason why I developed this is because I wanted to be able to do it in person too as an instant activity. So if we're working on ball handling skills in basketball, if we're working on tossing, throwing, and catching, all of my gifts would be related to whatever unit we're working on, so that I'm still not, going away from what we're doing in PE, but I am trying to work with the classroom teacher and helping them with their math back. So I think that's a good win-win situation. The next one is a similar setup, and this was designed with kindergartners in mind, trying to get them to work on their phonics and identifying letters. And the reason why I chose this is, I don't know about you guys, but for me, we do a lot of animal movements with kindergarten, and it's a great way for them to get those movements in, kind of use some creativity. It's really fun to see what they come up with. And so what I did is I created shufflers. And in my building, a lot of the students, and especially with COVID, were not in a preschool. So they were coming to us kind of green, and a lot of them were very behind understanding and identifying their letters. So the teacher that I was working with said, oh gosh, no, we can't do all the letters at once. So I created a shuffler that chunked everything in groups of 5. So there are several slides with only 5 letters on there. You do the shuffler, you click to stop, you look at the letter, we say it out loud together. And I would do this in person as well, but for right now, we're all on Zoom. We say the letter out loud, and then I ask them to look at the table and identify that letter and do that animal movement. In fact, I can't wait till we're in person to do this, because this would be an instant activity for me where they have the whole gym to move around and they're not constrained to just a small area in front of their screen. So once we've hit all of the letters, I move on to the next slide, which gives me the next set of letters in the alphabet, and we go through the same thing. And when I've done this with all of my kindergarten classes here at our building, it took about 30 minutes. So it was a 30-minute lesson. We were able to get through all of the letters, and it worked out really well. And like I said, I'm looking forward to be able to do this in person. I would project this up on my screen. I would have them spread out, and they would be moving around using the entire gym, showing us their animal movements. Okay, with that, Bo's going to talk about his next activity.
Man, I just feel bad. I was going after Cindie. Such great stuff. Okay, this is a game called Dice Dash. It's a game that doesn't require a lot of equipment and that you could adjust and modify based on what equipment you do or don't have. So what my setup looks like is this. I have hula hoops all around the perimeter of my gym floor. I'm using 6 colors here. That's if you have a class of 24, if you have less, if you don't have that many hoops, you can certainly change the number here. What I have in the middle is pool noodles. So if I had a class of 24, students would scatter around and start in one of these hoops around the outside. What I have is a key, and kind of like for the students to go off of. We will go over it, and part of this is them using their memory skills. So let's say that going from left to right here on the top, blue would go with the number 1, yellow would be 2, red would be 3, purple 4, green 5, and orange 6. What I'm doing is I'm going to roll a dice in the middle of the gym or off to the side wherever I'm standing. And whatever number is rolled, that is the color that will be the taggers. So if I rolled a 2, I will yell out 2. Anyone in a yellow hoop needs to remember that that means that they're it. So all the students in a yellow hoop would immediately run to the middle and pick up a noodle. The remaining students have to leave their hoops, but now they're in the game and they are fleeing. As soon as a student is tagged, they put their hands up to signal that they have been tagged, they safely exit, and they're going to go to the closest hoop that they see. So if a student is all the way over here and gets tagged, they are not going to walk across this game of tag and go to this spot right here. They're going to pick one of these closer hoops on that side. Now, this is where you can kind of make up your own rules. When they're there, you could say, all right, you're in a red hoop. All right, you have to do 5 squats and then you're done. If they got in a blue hoop, maybe it's 10 jumping jacks and then you're done. The game goes on for a certain amount of time or until everyone's been tagged. Then they return to the closest hoops and we start a new round. Usually it's about a minute or so. It's really high intense running for especially those taggers. What I've done also is, let's say you have a smaller class or you don't have that many hoops. Let's say you only have 16 students and you want to use 4 colors. Well, then you can assign number 5 to be an exercise. You can assign number 6 to be the teacher's it, or you get to just call out a color. You could have a student, let's say I roll a 6 and I'm just going to point to Kelly, be like, Kelly, who's it? And she calls out a color. So there's lots of things that you can do with that. If you don't have that many hoops, you can use other things to mark the floors. Just put numbers down, pieces of paper, whatever you have, paper plates. Students just stand on that number. Again, it's not requiring everything that you see here, but essentially everyone is in the game. They are constantly running, and then when they return to the outside, you can have them do various exercises while they're waiting for the next round. I know I talked about it before, I do a lot on measuring our heart rates. Since I don't have all that neat technology, I constantly ask them to find their pulse, count for 6 seconds, talk to the person in the hoop closest to you, take turns maybe, and we just measure our heart rates a lot in class. And this is one that definitely gets our heart rates up. So with that, we will go back to Kelly.
Sight word bingo. All right, I was chanting that while I was waiting for Bo and it just came out. I apologize. So, all right, so couple of years back, I didn't have a full load teaching PE, so I did a support group with some first grade boys, and we had to work on their words that they needed to know for first grade, which were called sight words in my district. Upon research, it seems every primary grade sort of has a list of words that they're working on for high frequency words that they just need to know by sight. My kindergarten calls them popcorn words. My second grade, they're called high frequency words. So they're all over the place. So because I was with a group of boys, we decided to make a game out of it. And then I ended up making a whole class game. So I took the words from my school, which was a district level list, and I made a bingo board, as you can see right there. Then I cut each word out and I taped it to the bottom of a Frisbee and scattered them all around the gym. Now, I like to use a Frisbee to put things under because then they're not on the floor, actually. If you put it on the bottom of a poly spot, that will work, but then they get dirty on the floor. So unless, you're laminating and being super, super clean. So I tape the word to the bottom of the Frisbee and I put an exercise card on the bottom of the Frisbee, any kind of cards you have that you've printed over the years. So the bottom of the Frisbee has two things, a word and an exercise. So this activity you can do independently. You can do it with a partner. I often paired up my kiddos so that they can work together to try to find the word. So the music is on and they're traveling around the gym. They're nothing to do with the Frisbees. They're doing a locomotor of any kind. And then we pause the music and then we go to a Frisbee together. So Bo's my partner again. And Bo and I bend down and we see the orange Frisbee and we look underneath it and we see the word stop and we see jumping jacks. So the first thing we need to do is cross off the word stop on our bingo board, which they're laminated and we have a dry erase marker and we're going to take turns holding them when we walk around because we're friends and we share. We cross off the word stop and the free space. Don't forget that. And then we do jumping jacks until the music starts again. Once the music starts, we make sure the Frisbee is flipped back over and we travel about again. And we know not to stop at that same orange Frisbee because we already visited there. So we are trying to get a bingo by 5 across, 5, the corners, whatever you want to do, diagonal. So you keep playing the music and stopping the music until somebody gets a bingo. You could do this with, so this is a first grade version. So I do this with K1, 2. You could put any old words on there that are related to your units. It's a good warm up. You could do it as a math version as well. So instead of having the words on a card, you'd have a problem like 2 times 2, and then you'd have the answers on the bottom of the Frisbee. So Bo and I skipped to the pink Frisbee, we flipped it and it said 4. So then we'd have to find the problem that said 2 times 2 equals 4. So it's an easy way to incorporate either sight words, frequency words, or math concepts. You just have to do a little bit of legwork in the beginning where you have to make the bingo cards and print out and cut out the words. But once you do that and you have them laminated, then you could tape them on Frisbees or use them for any other sort of thing that you do. And most of the time the words stay the same for a couple of years. So it's worth the investment in my eyes. That is called sight word bingo. Here's Cindie.
All right, this is my last one to talk to you guys about. I really like this, and I, trying to figure out a way that I can make this work at home, but I'm just not seeing that happen just for space purposes. So I'm looking forward to being able to do this again when I get to see my kiddos in person. This is called Toss and Throw Bingo, another little bingo activity. The image that you see on the left, the red outlined rectangle, is a diagram of what your gym would look like, how you would set it up. The circles that I use to mark the bingo template, I use big poly spots, the jumbo poly spots in particular. They're massive. I don't know that the actual measurements of them, but they're really big. And I like the bigger ones because it allows you to be able to keep 1 foot on and 1 foot off and still be on there, jump up in the air and catch it. And you're still, both feet are on that spot. So you are going to see that there's a throwing line there. You can determine how far back you want your students to be when they throw. And that really depends on the size of your gym. So students are either paired or they're put into groups. One person, or we'll start with one person as the thrower, obviously, and then whoever is going to be catching is going to move out onto the grid to receive a pass or a throw from your teammate. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a bingo with these little cards that I've provided for them that you see all the way over on the right. So each pair or group will get one of the cards that you see over on the right, the yellow, the green, and the purple. And there are several combinations. This is just three cards that you see an example of. The middle card is what each partner or group has inside of a laminated folder or whatever you use dry erase markers. So it gives a diagram of the grid, and then it's a place where they can put their card to that they're looking for. So if you look at the yellow, they need to try and form a line, a vertical line on the far right-hand side. So they can determine what order they want to try and throw and receive a pass. And you can change the types of implements you're using, the types of manipulatives you're using. I usually like to have 3 different choices for them to use. It could be a Frisbee, a football, a gator ball, a smaller ball, whatever you have that will work. I like one that will go for a further distance, one that's smaller, and then one that's somewhere in between. So the idea is whoever the catcher is going to go out on the grid and stand on the poly spot of their choice to try and complete their grid or their little diagram there. Once they receive the pass, they come with the ball and they will bring the ball back, and that thrower becomes the catcher. The catcher will then go back out onto the grid, onto your gym floor, and go to the next available square or spot, whatever you're using to try and receive a pass. If they don't catch it, they don't get to mark it off on their little template. If they catch it, they mark it off and they keep going until they have completed their bingo. What's nice about this is I have so many different variations that when they are done with their bingo card, they come back, they turn it in, and I give them a new one. And there's, like I said, there's some that require only 4. There's some that might have, like you see, a Z. You have one that has the outline, a box. You have one that has a box with the X. So it really depends. You have so many different opportunities to create a bingo. And I really like this because they're working collaboratively, whether it's in a partner situation or in a small group, and they're working at their own pace. So they're not trying to compete against another partner or group. They're just trying to get through as many bingos as they can. And I also think that they appreciate having a choice in what they're using to throw. And really, if you're having to go to the far back of that grid, you need some sort of throwing implement that's going to reach all the way to the back of your gym. So it's a good idea to have some choices as far as what they're using to throw. I've also done this where it's a math problem underneath. So they have on their little cards that they're receiving, it's a math problem, and the answer, the sum, or whatever it might be, the product is on those poly spots when they go out onto the gym. So they're trying to accomplish math problems as well. You might have them only start out with one type of throwing implement, and then as they successfully complete a bingo, they can trade that piece of equipment in for something else. So there's a lot of different ways you could probably play it. The students really have a great time with this. And that is Toss and Throw Bingo. And Bo is going to talk to us about his next activity. And he keeps selling himself short. He has a lot of great activities here that he's sharing with you guys.
Well, thank you, Cindy. This is a fun activity that I call Survivor Tag, another one of my games that has, with the input of my students, which is always important. If you do not get feedback and input from your students, start doing that. So this game works like this. Students are broken into one of four teams. You can certainly do three. I like to have at least four on a team. Five is better. And so it is a tagging game. I'm big on tag. And so what you're doing is you are going to start in your corner, your kind of home base with your teammates. Students are wearing jerseys, or if you have armbands, whatever you have that works, so that students know who is on their team. You are trying to survive as a team. Now, if you are on the yellow team, all right, you may tag any one of the other players from any other of the three teams. If you are tagged, you go down on one knee. You immediately put one hand up like this, and you are in the position that you now your teammates know that you need to be rescued. You're not eliminated. You're not out of the game. You're just down for the count for until you're saved. Now, in order to be saved, you have to have a teammate from your team run safely, get down on one knee, face each other, and then you're going to press your hand against each other. Okay. Now, you're not quite safe yet. Those two students need to communicate, whether it's with a whisper or they can be as loud as they want, but they don't want to give away when they're going to stand up together. So they're going to look behind them, they're going to communicate, maybe give a 3, 2, 1. They have to get up at the same time though. Okay, one can't get up before the other. Now, once they're back up, they're back in the game. Okay, now if two players from opposite teams tag each other at the same time, they both go down. Okay, there's no rock, paper, scissors, because what you have happening is students just keep playing, and then other kids are going to run by and just keep tagging them. Okay, then you have the shouting match, and hey, we're playing rock, paper, scissors. So two people tag each other at the same time, they both go down. You can only be saved by someone from your team. Okay, now when you are down on the ground, okay, you can still tag players. Okay, so that is a rule that you can add at a level 1 or level 2, and I usually add that at a level 2. Now, what I tell students is that when you are down and you are rescuing a player, communication is key. Okay, they always say, well, they have the advantage. They're puppy guarding. Okay, puppy guarding is allowed because you can use that to your advantage. If you are down on one knee facing your partner, okay, that player that is standing or hovering around you doesn't know when you're going to get up. All right, if you can communicate when to get up, you can tag them as soon as you get up. Okay, or you can tag them if they get too close. All right. Then that student sometimes is so focused on those two people on the ground that they don't pay attention. Someone comes by and tags them. Now they're down. You guys get up. You're back in the game. So it's a lot of teamwork, a lot of communication, and again, lots and lots of running. So that is Survivor Tag. Hope you liked it. Real quick, I'm going to go through some more remote stuff that I've gotten into this year. I recently have gone from 40 minutes to 20 minutes with my kids, but they're back in the building, some of them. But this is what I've done to start my class. I have something up on the screen because we all know one kid comes in, then a second kid, then the fifth kid, and then the eighth kid. And here you are, you're 3 minutes into your class. And 3 minutes out of 20 minutes is a lot. So this is what I've been projecting on my screen. Instant activities. I've asked the kids what they like. We've got Pokemon. We've got, I do Roblox, and I haven't quite gotten to Fortnite yet. This is one I created called Move to the Phrase. So they come in, the phrase changes all the time. So it's exercises, fun. So they have to find the letter E, find what exercise it goes with it. All right, they do it for 15 seconds, then they go to the next letter. So someone might finish this entire phrase, and then the last person comes in when I'm ready to go, and they only got to the second letter. That's okay. I had them moving for a little bit for the small time that they've been there so far. So if a student finishes this, that's fine. I usually don't wait that long because my 20 minutes is valuable. I've got a couple other variations here. This is one that was created by Julie Bakken. She's in my district. This is great. She calls it Connect 4. You can see that you can connect 4 diagonally, across, up and down, and then the numbers in the corners are how many repetitions they're going to do or how long. This is one I made. This is inspired by a guy named Doug Hallberg. He had really big, extensive lists. I kind of made mine a little bit shorter and a little bit easier with some GIFs of myself. I've become a GIF monster. I think my kids love it. So if they love it, I love it. The last thing I want to talk about real quick is something that I've used at the beginning of this year. Is called Mentimeter. When I did have the kids for 40 minutes, this is how I started my class. They would come in, and I have a question of the day. It could be multiple choice, it could be ranking, it could be a word cloud, and then there's one called a Q&A. I'm going to show you a couple examples real quick. So this is an example of multiple choice. So what is your favorite holiday movie? You can install GIFs as part of the answers, really helps them get their attention. What is your favorite kind of treat for Halloween? Ranking, okay, so you could rank the treats. All right, if you gave them 5 options, they could rank them in order. Like I said, what is your favorite kind of movie? So we have funny, scary, Disney, family, action, don't know. These would be with GIFs too. This one I kept animated, this one I did not. Kids really like this. They would come in. They've already been asking what happened to the question of the day, and I had to tell them we've got to get through our class a little bit faster. I do share these now sometimes through Seesaw, and they can do them later on their own time. The last thing I want to show you is the word cloud. This is a really great one because some of these questions were really fantastic for their answers. What are some highlights from this past year? What do you like about winter? Name an activity, a sport or game that uses agility. So it was a little bit of an assessment piece. But here's a fun one I did one day where it's a Q&A. And the kids are live asking questions to me, and it just pops up on the screen like this, and I'm flying through them, and I'm answering them out loud. So I'm like, pizza. I've never played, but I know what it is. I like rap. I don't know. And it goes through. I had like 25 questions that I answered once in like 2 minutes. So it was kind of like a just rapid fire, get to know Mr. Phillips. So Mentimeter is a great tool. I recommend it. It is free. There is limitations with it. But then if you do the paid version, it does open up a lot more. But there's lots that you can do with the free version. All right, I'm going to hand it back to Kelly now.
But what is your favorite candy, Mr. Phillips?
Ooh, anything with caramel and chocolate. So I'm going to kind of say probably a Milky Way.
All right, good. We're going to fast forward through these 2 activities, and they're pretty self-explanatory about rolling actions. And conclude our presentation with a little bit of information. We wanted to give you our Twitter handles. That is our email address for all of us. So you can send any questions our way, and I will get them to the right person if it's specific to a game. We have a fabulous website we'd like to show you really quickly. When you click on this, it's going to take you to a main page, and it's got lots of goofy pictures of us over the years. I tend to take a lot of selfies, so I apologize for that. We have had a number of people in our group over the years. We are the Illinois Fab Four, even though there's only 3 of us right now. So we have friends that jump in and fill the 4th spot on occasion. So the tabs at the top where you're going to find this presentation with the links will be all the way over at specific conferences, and it will say ND or whatever state we're doing. And then some of the games are listed individually in Let's Play. So you can kind of see them as we go, and you can click on any of them. We have games in all the categories, lots of cross-curricular games. You could kind of sense that as we were going through our presentation. Let's Play is just a bunch of fun things with some crazy equipment in some instances. And then there's a fitness category. We have muscles and bones and a couple things here and there. So we were so excited to present for you today. We hope you learned something. If you have any questions, please feel free to send us an email or ask us on the Twitter. And we just want to say thank you for being here.
Thank you, guys.
Everybody else say
Thanks,
thank
guys.
you. Bye.
Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.